Actor, comedian, and magician Harry Anderson is dead at the age of 65. He was best known as the star of the sitcom Night Court. Asheville, North Carolina police confirmed Anderson was found dead in his home Monday morning. They say foul play is not suspected.
Harry Anderson's magic and humor dazzled millions, but the true stories behind his public persona have remained hidden until now. What shocking secrets did Harry keep from the world? How did his family's revelations challenge everything we thought we knew about this beloved actor? And what dark moments did Harry face that no one ever suspected?
Harry Anderson was an American actor and comedian who became a household name in the 1980s for his role as Judge Harold T. Stone in the hit National Broadcasting Company sitcom Night Court.
The answers to these questions will unveil a side of Harry Anderson that few ever knew. Early life. Harry Anderson's story begins in 1952 in Newport, Rhode Island. His early life was far from perfect. His dad, a salesman, left him and his mom alone, which wasn't easy for them. They moved around a lot, living in a dozen different states before Harry even turned 16. They eventually settled in Las Vegas, where Harry's mom got a job as a casino dealer. It might sound exciting, but life wasn't always easy for them. Later on, they moved to Chicago, where Harry's mom had to do tough work to make ends meet. Even though life was hard, Harry always loved and respected his mom. He never blamed her for the choices she had to make, and he often talked openly about his childhood experiences. "She did what needed to be done to try to keep us together," Harry once said in an interview. While they were living in Chicago, Harry spent a lot of time alone in the lobby of a fancy hotel called the Ambassador East. It was a place where men liked to play cards and gamble. While his mom was busy, the card players in the lobby took Harry under their wing. They taught him all sorts of things about cards: how to play different games, how to bet, and even how to do cool card tricks. It was like a whole new world opened up to Harry, and he soaked it all in. These experiences sparked his lifelong love of magic and performing, which would later become a big part of his career. Discovering magic. At 16, Harry left Chicago and moved to Los Angeles to live with his dad. In high school, he got really into magic. It wasn't just a hobby. He joined a magic club where he met other talented magicians who would later become famous, like Jonathan Pendragon and Paul Harris. One summer, while visiting San Francisco, Harry saw something that changed everything. He saw a street hustler playing a game called the Shell Game, a classic trick that involves hiding a ball under one of 3 shells. Harry realized he could use his magic skills to make money doing this. So he created his own shell game routine and started performing on the streets. But it wasn't as easy as he thought. Harry didn't have a crew of people helping him out, which made things a lot harder. He had to do everything himself: run the game, keep an eye out for trouble, and convince people to play. It was a tough gig, but Harry was determined to make it work. Harry's street hustling days didn't last long. He got into a scuffle with an angry customer who broke his jaw. After that, Harry decided to change his approach. Instead of using the shell game as a con, he turned it into a comedy act. He played a character called Harry the Hat, a fast-talking trickster who was always trying to outsmart the audience. But deep down, Harry the Hat was a lovable goofball, a bit of a nincompoop who couldn't always pull off his schemes. This new act was a big hit, and people loved Harry's charm and humor. Interestingly, Harry based his character on the card players he met back in the Ambassador East Hotel lobby. He admired their cleverness and their ability to connect with people, even if they didn't speak the same language. That's why he became a magician in the first place, to entertain and amaze people, just like those card players did for him. Early career. Harry's life took an interesting turn after graduating high school. Not only was he top of his class, but he also moved to Ashland, Oregon and opened a magic shop. Can you imagine a store filled with all sorts of magical tricks and illusions? It sounds like a dream come true for any aspiring magician. But Harry didn't just sell magic tricks, he also performed them. During the summers, he would put on shows at the Oregon Shakespeare Festival, a famous theater event. Every year, he'd create a new, amazing trick to be the centerpiece of his performance. One time, he even stole the show from the festival's production of Henry V by performing a daring trick called the bullet catch. He had his assistant shoot a gun at him, and he caught the bullet with his teeth. Talk about a showstopper. When the festival ended, Harry would hit the road and travel all over the country, performing his magic on street corners. He'd go from San Francisco to Texas to New Orleans and even to New York City. Sometimes he'd show up at college campuses and put on a free show for the students, just passing a hat around at the end for tips. It was a way for him to share his passion for magic with everyone, no matter where they were or how much money they had. Rise to stardom. Harry's reputation as a street magician grew, and word of his unique act reached the ears of the magic community. He received an invitation to perform at the famous Magic Castle in Los Angeles, a private club known for showcasing top talent. This was a big deal for Harry, but he didn't let it change his style. Throughout the early 1980s, Harry would come to LA for 1 week each year to perform at the Magic Castle. But as soon as his gig was over, he'd disappear back onto the streets, traveling across the country to perform his magic for everyday people. He preferred the energy and spontaneity of street corners and parks to the more formal settings of nightclubs and theaters. His act was anything but ordinary. He'd do crazy things like pretend to cut off his arm or snap his fingers in animal traps. It was all part of the show, of course, but it kept audiences on the edge of their seats. Harry would also tell hilarious stories about con artists, carnival barkers, and other colorful characters he'd encountered on his travels. His tales were filled with humor and heart, and they made his performances even more captivating. One of Harry's most famous tricks was called the needle through the arm. It sounds simple enough, but Harry turned it into something truly special. He'd take a long hat pin and slowly, dramatically push it through his arm. But it wasn't just the trick itself that captivated the audience, it was Harry's entire performance. He'd spend 10 minutes talking about the history of circus sideshows and how people are drawn to both the beautiful and the bizarre. He'd explain how the needle through the arm was different from other illusions because it looked so real. You know it could be happening, he'd say, even though it ain't. It was a mix of magic, storytelling, and psychology, and it always left the audience amazed and a little bit disturbed. Not everyone was a fan, though. One night after Harry performed at the Magic Castle, a big shot from CBS was disgusted by the act. He asked the club's founder, "Who the hell is that guy and why do you let him do that? I would never hire that guy." But as we all know, that executive was wrong. Harry's persistence and unique style finally paid off in 1980. A talent manager saw his show at the Magic Castle and was so impressed that he offered Harry a gig opening for the famous country singer Kenny Rogers in Las Vegas. It was a big break, and Harry was paid $1,500 a week for his act. From there, Harry's career took off. He was booked on popular TV shows like The Mike Douglas Show and The Merv Griffin Show. He even landed a spot on Saturday Night Live, the most famous comedy show in America. It was a huge platform for Harry to showcase his talents to a national audience. On his third appearance on SNL, Harry performed his infamous needle through the arm trick live on television. Millions of people watched as he seemingly pierced his arm with a hat pin. The audience reacted with a mix of horror and fascination, even though Harry kept repeating that it was just a trick. But that was the beauty of his act. He played with people's expectations, blurring the lines between reality and illusion. Harry learned this technique from his experiences with con men and street hustlers. He understood that people love to be fooled, but they also want to feel like they're in on the joke. He'd tell the audience he was lying to them, but they couldn't help but believe in the magic. It was a clever strategy that set him apart from other magicians. Most magicians try to convince the audience that their tricks are real, but Harry did the opposite. He told them he was lying, but they wanted to believe him anyway. Night Court. Harry's journey to stardom took another unexpected turn when Les Charles, the producer of Taxi, noticed him. Charles was working on a new show called Cheers, and he remembered seeing Harry's street performances as Harry the Hat. He thought a con man character would be a perfect fit for the bar setting of Cheers. They offered Harry a recurring role in the first season, appearing in 3 episodes. His character would show up at the bar, try to pull some small-time cons on the customers, and then get chased out by Sam, the bartender. It wasn't a major role, but it was enough to get him noticed by someone important. Reinhold Weege, the producer of a new show called Night Court, saw Harry's performance on Cheers and was intrigued. He invited Harry to audition for the lead role, a young judge named Harry Stone. This character was a bit of a quirky guy who loved magic tricks and had a nostalgic fondness for the music and style of his parents' generation. Harry read the script and immediately knew he was perfect for the part. He told Weege, "I am this guy. I'm exactly who you've written here." It was a match made in TV heaven. Harry's unique personality, his love of magic, and his comedic timing all aligned perfectly with the character of Judge Harry Stone. Night Court premiered during a golden era for sitcoms, especially on NBC. It was part of a powerhouse Thursday night lineup that included The Cosby Show and Cheers. The show was an instant success, and Harry Anderson became a household name. But deep down, Harry never forgot his roots as a magician. He often said, "I was never really an actor. I was a magician who fell into a part on Cheers." He didn't want people to forget his true passion, so he made sure to incorporate magic into his appearances on talk shows. When he hosted Saturday Night Live in 1985, instead of delivering a traditional monologue, he shocked the audience by performing a trick where he appeared to eat a live guinea pig. He also showcased a rare and intricate card trick called shapography, a technique that dates back to the 1600s. He even appeared in a sketch where he played himself, shooting and killing the famous magician Doug Henning. It was all very bizarre and unexpected, but that was Harry's style. Luckily, Harry had earned enough respect from NBC and the SNL producer Dick Ebersol that he was given a lot of creative freedom. He was allowed to do things his way, even if it meant pushing the boundaries of what was considered normal for a comedy show. It was a testament to Harry's talent and his unique perspective as a magician that he was able to bring his own brand of magic to the mainstream. Later career. After Night Court ended its run in 1992, Harry landed another starring role in a sitcom called Dave's World. It was based on the life of a newspaper columnist, and the show did well for 4 years. But when Dave's World was canceled, Harry decided he'd had enough of Hollywood. He never really felt at home in Los Angeles. He preferred a quieter life, so he moved his family to a small town in Oregon. He'd fly back and forth to film Dave's World, but his heart wasn't in it. He didn't enjoy being famous, and he wasn't comfortable with the attention that came with it. Harry once said in an interview, "It's a little bit embarrassing to be in the public eye that much. People start asking me about the situation in the Middle East, as if I have some kind of knowledge or opinion that matters." He felt awkward and out of place, like he was being asked to comment on things he didn't know anything about. By the year 2000, Harry had pretty much stopped acting on TV and in movies. He missed his old life as a magician. He looked at other magicians who started out around the same time as him, like Penn and Teller, and felt a pang of envy. While Harry was busy acting in sitcoms, Penn and Teller had become super famous and changed the way people thought about magic. Harry's friend Mike Cavaney wrote in a book about him that Harry was jealous of what Penn and Teller had achieved. He felt like he'd missed out on something important. Now, a new generation of people only knew him as an actor, and they were surprised to find out he was actually a magician at heart. This realization sparked a desire in Harry to return to his roots. He wanted to perform magic again, to reconnect with his passion and the audiences who loved his unique style. In the early 2000s, Harry Anderson was a wealthy man. He had made a fortune from his acting career and could afford to do whatever he wanted. And what did he want? To go back to his first love, magic. "I am richer than Davy Crockett," he once told People magazine. "I can settle back and do what I want to do, and what I want to do is card tricks and magic." Harry decided to make a fresh start in New Orleans, a city he knew well from his street performing days. He bought several properties in the French Quarter, including a building where Lee Harvey Oswald, the man who assassinated President Kennedy, once lived. In this historic building, Harry opened a nightclub called Oswald's Speakeasy. But Oswald's wasn't just any nightclub. It was Harry's stage, where he could revive his magic act. 5 nights a week, he would perform a 90-minute one-man show for tourists and locals alike. It was a mix of comedy, storytelling, and mind-boggling magic tricks. It was the perfect way for Harry to reconnect with his passion and share his love of magic with a new audience. Harry also opened a magic shop called Sideshow and a unique showroom called Spade and Archer, named after the detective agency from The Maltese Falcon. This appointment-only showroom was a treasure trove of carnival, magic, and gambling memorabilia. Harry even had the original Maltese Falcon prop, which he jokingly claimed to have stolen from Warner Brothers. It was a place where Harry could showcase his vast collection and share his fascination with the history of magic and entertainment. Hurricane Katrina and aftermath. Harry quickly found his place in the lively community of street performers and artists in the French Quarter. He felt a deep connection with these folks, the Quarter Rats, as he called them. They shared his love for the unconventional and the quirky, and he welcomed them into his home with open arms. "What's been constant here is the acceptance, the way this place accepts you however you come in," Harry said in an interview. He felt truly at home in New Orleans, a place that embraced his unique personality and creative spirit. But in 2005, disaster struck. Hurricane Katrina devastated New Orleans, and the French Quarter was hit hard. Businesses that relied on tourists like Harry's struggled to survive. But more importantly, the people who lived in the quarter faced a dire situation. There was no electricity, no running water, and no garbage collection. The streets were filled with debris and chaos. It was a heartbreaking time for Harry and the community he loved. He saw firsthand the destruction and the suffering, and he felt a deep sense of responsibility to help. He turned Oswald's Speakeasy into a meeting place for the community to come together and plan their recovery. At first, these town hall meetings were small, intimate gatherings held by candlelight since the power was still out. But word spread, and soon, the meetings grew into large, lively events that attracted important figures. Officials from FEMA, the Army Corps of Engineers, and even the city council realized that if they wanted to reach the people of the French Quarter, they had to come to Oswald's and face Harry and the Quarter Rats. When the city's leaders fell short, the locals at Oswald's stepped up. They organized trash cleanups, brainstormed solutions to the countless problems caused by the hurricane, and advocated for their community's needs. Harry's nightclub became a hub of hope and resilience, a place where people came together to rebuild their lives and their neighborhood. In 2006, he was attacked in the French Quarter, the second time he had been assaulted since moving there. This incident, coupled with the re-election of Mayor Ray Nagin, who Harry felt was not effectively addressing the city's problems, was the final straw. Harry and his wife, Elizabeth, made the difficult decision to leave the city they had grown to love. They sold their properties in the French Quarter and relocated to Asheville, North Carolina. In Asheville, they embraced a quieter, more private lifestyle, away from the hustle and bustle of New Orleans and the pressures of fame. Personal life. Harry Anderson's love life wasn't as simple as his magic tricks. He was married twice, both times to women who shared his passion for the extraordinary. His first wife was Leslie Pollock, an actress and magician herself. They met through their shared interests and quickly fell in love. Together they had 2 children, a son named Dashiell and a daughter named Eva Faye. For 2 decades, they seemed like a happy family. But sadly, their marriage ended in divorce in 1999. But Harry's heart didn't stay lonely for long. In 2000, he married Elizabeth Morgan, a businesswoman with a spirit of adventure. Elizabeth was a devoted wife and stepmom to Harry's children. She embraced his passion for magic and his unconventional lifestyle. Despite the challenges, Harry and Elizabeth remained married until his death in 2018. They didn't have any children together, but their love and partnership were evident to everyone who knew them. Meanwhile, Harry's children from his first marriage were forging their own paths. Eva Faye followed in her parents' footsteps and became a writer. She's worked on several TV shows and movies, including You're the Worst and Toy Story 3. She's also dabbled in acting and production. Harry's son, Dashiell, also shared his father's love for magic. He even appeared on Harry's 1996 CBS special, Harry Anderson, The Tricks of His Trade, where he showed off his card tricks. It's clear that Harry's talent and passion for magic have been passed down to the next generation. In April 2018, the world lost a beloved entertainer when Harry Anderson passed away in his Asheville home at the age of 65. Paramedics arrived at his apartment early in the morning, responding to a distressing call from his wife, Elizabeth. It was a heartbreaking moment for his family, friends, and fans. Harry's cause of death was confirmed as a cardioembolic cerebrovascular accident, a severe type of stroke. It was revealed that influenza and heart disease were contributing factors to his sudden passing. The news of Harry's death sent shockwaves through the entertainment industry. His co-stars from Night Court expressed their grief and paid tribute to their friend. John Larroquette, who played Dan Fielding, described Harry as wicked smart, funny, and a truly kind man. Marsha Warfield, who played bailiff Roz Russell, shared a heartfelt video tribute, remembering Harry's warmth and generosity. Other celebrities also mourned Harry's loss. Markie Post, who played Christine Sullivan, was too devastated to put her feelings into words. Columnist Dave Barry, whose life inspired the sitcom Dave's World, remembered Harry as a talented and genuinely nice person. Even fellow magician Neil Patrick Harris expressed his condolences to Harry's family. Legacy. Harry Anderson's legacy is as colorful and multifaceted as his life. To his fans, he was a warm, funny, and lovable figure on their TV screens. In New Orleans, he was a community leader who rallied people during tough times. To magicians, he was an innovator who pushed the boundaries of what was possible in the art of illusion. But beyond all the roles he played, there was always Harry the Hat, the mischievous, fast-talking con man he created for the stage. Harry the Hat was a legend, a larger-than-life character who blurred the lines between reality and fiction. It's hard to say where Harry Anderson ended and Harry the Hat began. He often said he wasn't an actor, but his entire life was a performance. He created an iconic character that eventually merged with his real self. He acted with confidence even when he was scared. He told stories and jokes that made people laugh and forget their troubles. He was a master of deception, both on and off the stage. The real Harry Anderson was a private person, someone most of us never truly knew. Harry the Hat was a character, a persona he crafted for the stage. But like a great hustler, Harry knew that the more he denied it, the more we wanted to believe it. He understood the power of illusion, and he used it to entertain, inspire, and leave a lasting impression on everyone he met.